all right. In this video, I want to go over what are the 4 things that we need for a successful conception. Okay, so these are the 4 things that need to be in line in order for conception to occur. So number 1 is we need high quality eggs. Number 2, we need high quality sperm. Number 3, both partners need to have a strong desire to have a child with one another. And number 4 is the baby room needs to be ready. Now, the baby room is not the baby room of the house where the baby will sleep, and you'll breastfeed and diaper change and all of that. The baby room is where your baby will grow, which is actually your uterus and your womb. So those are the 4 things that are really, really not only important, but they're critical in order for successful conception to occur. Now, I've done a lot of research in, the last 5 years. And when I study anything from the traditional Chinese medicine side, it's a really ancient medicine. And there's literally practitioners who just don't believe in infertility. They simply believe in the fact that there's depletion, there's something missing, there's maybe a mental and emotional connection that's missing, or a nutrient that's missing. And so I found that that's very interesting that some of these people who've been practicing for decades and decades and decades and helping couples get pregnant is that they don't believe in infertility. And if you line these 4 things up, then beautiful things will happen. And not only will you get pregnant, but you'll have a beautiful complications-free pregnancy. And most importantly, you'll have a healthy child. So let's talk about the quality of the egg. It's really important to understand that females are born with all of their eggs. In fact, the cool thing is when your grandmother was pregnant with your mom, that's when your eggs were also being developed, okay, in the ovaries. So we have 2 generations when we're carrying 2 generations when you're pregnant with a female. And that's really, really cool to know. So your grandmother's pregnant with your mom and your mom is developing her eggs, which are then become you. So the quality of the eggs is basically, we cannot change the quantity of the eggs. We as females are born with all of our eggs, but we can absolutely change the quality of the eggs. And a lot of the times it's not about the quantity, it is more about the quality of the eggs that are left. And the quality of the egg, so the egg will take about 3 months to mature. So to start from a premature oocyte to a mature oocyte that can then be fertilized, that can then, go through ovulation and be fertilized, it takes about 3 months. So when we're working on the quality of the eggs, always keep that in mind, is that it takes a minimum of 3 months to improve that quality. Now, if the eggs have a lot of issues, or there's a lot of toxicities and a lot of nutrient deficiencies, hormone imbalances, I think about it like filtering really muddy water. If you just filter it once, aka that 3-month cycle, it's better than what it was, but it's not quite where we need it to be. So you might need to do a filtration more than one time. And that filtration is I always just think about it as a 3-month cycle. So sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months, 9, and so on and so forth. Of course, there isn't a solid number, but just to kind of give you an idea that one cycle takes about 3 months. Okay, that's the quality of the eggs. The quality of the sperm is the second thing that we need. We need a lot of sperm. We need that sperm to be robust and mobile and really strong and energetic, right? Because it has a long way to go up the uterus and the fallopian tube, and then to fight its way to get to the egg and then to fertilize the egg. So it needs to have a lot of energy, a lot of movement, and a lot of nutrients to be able to do that. For men, the good news is that the males produce sperm every single day. So a cycle for the males is about 2 months to produce the sperm from scratch. So it's the same thing. If the male has a lot of issues, then you're filtering the water once, great. The sperm should improve, and it's not improving. That means, we need to keep going because the filtration needs to happen a couple more times. And what I'll say about the quality of the sperm This is true for the quality of the egg as well, is that it's a direct correlation of your health. So if there is weight issues, if there is hypertension, if there is acne, digestive issues, depression, mood, anxiety, those kind of things, it's all a sign that there is some sort of nutrients missing, or maybe toxicities building up. If the male is overweight and doesn't sweat often, then the sperm can become like a dumping ground of toxins, because the body really just tries to get toxins out any way that it can. So if the male is not pooping regularly, not drinking enough water, not sweating enough, then the male body is trying to dump toxins anywhere it can. And unfortunately, the sperm will be the dumping ground. So the quality of the sperm is super, super changeable. And because the males produce sperm every 2 months, brand new sperm. So the healthier that the male gets, the healthier the sperm will be. Now, the next two things I want to talk about, the number 3 is both you and your partner need to have a strong desire to have a child together with one another. And this is the more mental and emotional component piece, where sometimes one partner is way more ready than the other partner to have a child, and you're not really on the same page. And the story with my miscarriage, of how my partner and I, we weren't really aligned. We knew we wanted kids, but it was just like a really hectic time in our life. Like, we were moving, we had a lot of things going on with one of our businesses. And so when I had a miscarriage, of course, I was really saddened, and not that my partner wasn't saddened. He was also sad, but he had a sense of relief, because he was really stressed trying to figure out how we were going to manage another child, where I didn't know that, right? So that was a really big disconnect that was missing for us. And sometimes that's all it takes, right? When these 4 things are not lined up, it can result in a pregnancy loss, because subconsciously one of you didn't truly want the child, or didn't want the child with one another. So it's a much more difficult conversation to have, but it's an absolute must conversation to have, because the relationship that you have with your partner is the first relationship that your baby will witness. It's the first relationship that they will see what it is like to relate to another human being. So if there are things that are unsaid, if there's resentment, if there's anger, all of those things are going to be felt by your baby. And so we want to learn how to open a line of communication and make sure that we feel heard and supported, and more importantly, that we are on the same page. So then we can, bring a child into this world feeling supported, as opposed to alone, right? And sometimes feeling supported is feeling supported within your own home. Okay, let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is the baby room has to be ready. Okay, the baby room is your womb. That is the first room that the baby will grow in. So we need to make sure that that room has plenty of supply, blood supply. We need nutrients into that space. We need to make sure that the lining of the uterus is not too thin, but not too thick. If it's too thin, there's not enough for the fertilized egg to implant. If it's too thick, it can't implant because it's too thick. So those are the issues that usually come up with things like endometriosis. The lining is just so thick, and it's hormones that are causing that lining to be too thick. And the same with when it's too thin, it's typically a progesterone issue that's causing it to be too thin. So we need to have a really good blood supply to the area, and then we need to have enough cushion, if you will. So then the blood supply is going to make sure that we are getting nutrients throughout the entire pregnancy to the baby, so the baby can grow and thrive. And then, of course, the lining of the uterus is where the blood supply is coming from, but the lining of the uterus also needs to be that perfect thickness. So these are the 4 things that we need to have in line. And what I'd love for you guys to do is like this video, and then comment to me, what is the thing in the comments, what is the thing that surprised you the most about this video about the 4 things that take to conception to have a successful conception. I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.